It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be pod-smacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello and welcome to episode number 134. 134 episodes. Holy crud. Glad to have you here, guys. Now, not only is this an episode of the podcast for audio, this is also the audio for a video podcast at a glorious website called Deplorables Radio. Deplorables Radio at Facebook. Deplorables Radio at Facebook. Every weeknight at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, I'm going to be podcasting live. This is the audio from that. So it is a glorious podcast. It's going to be an extended podcast. And you can hear the audio here and see the video at Facebook at Deplorables Radio. I want to thank our sponsors. They're so terrific, especially Dr. Alex Nelson, who owns Fountain of Life Chiropractic, fountainoflifechiro.com. If you've got headaches, asthma, neck pain, back pain, have you considered chiropractic treatment? And now you're thinking, what? They can take it. Oh, you wouldn't believe what it can do. You really, forever, I didn't think the chiropractic worked until I tried it. And it saved me. 816-741-4711. You ought to try decompression for herniated low back discs. My son asked me to lift him up last night and crack his back. I said, I can't do this, man. You're 6'2" and 220. Go see Dr. Alex Nelson. Fountainoflifechiro.com, the number 816-741-4711. 816-741-4711. Does American Made mean anything to you? Well, it does if you have a Dixie Chopper mower from Grass Monsters KC. It does if you have a Hustler mower. Dixie Chopper made in Indiana, Hustler made in Kansas, and they are glorious. American-made machines, quarter-inch steel, and many parts of these machines, they will last you forever. Residential, commercial, what do you want? You want to get the new Blackhawk with up to a 60-inch deck, a light commercial mower from Dixie Chopper made in Indiana. Oh, my goodness, it's glorious. Glorious. And these mowers you can steer with your pinkies. I'm not kidding. Check out Grass Monsters KC, 5520 Raytown Road, Raytown, Missouri. Check out grassmonsterskc.com.
And terrorize the law-abiding until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I just think it kicks ass. I don't know, man. I thought the PSA kicked ass. It is not threatening violence. I will tell you, as a member of the conservative right, not whatever you want to call it, the extreme right, or no, I'm a libertarian-leaning conservative. But I'll tell you, you're only going to get to poke a pit bull so many times before you get bit back. She's talking about a metaphorical raising your fist with truth at the physical violent acts that are happening from the left. She didn't make a threat. She talked about raising a fist of truth. But the reason why this just became so, it got such an enormous reaction for the left in the country is because it was so effective. It was so effective. Patrick's on the listening tonight. Also, he's in Omaha. Omaha, my hometown, brother. Thanks for checking it out, Patrick. I'm actually originally from Omaha, Nebraska. Grew up in Southwest Iowa, so glad to have you. If you have a comment tonight, please feel free to share. But this was a very, very powerful PSA. It acknowledged the violence that's coming from the left, and it had a reaction, which was raise the clenched fist of truth. It wasn't, I'm going to shoot your ass. All right? If that was, I'm going to shoot your ass. I'm a member of the NRA. I'm going to kill you, mother scratchers. No, it wasn't that. Brian says, love it. I carry everywhere I go now. The left is so unhinged. Brian, here's the deal. The left can caterwaul. They can throw urine bombs at the police. They can burn dumpsters. They can wreck storefronts. But we are better armed physically and intellectually, Brian. We don't have to take this, pardon the expression, but we are podcasting. We don't have to take this bullshit anymore, Brian. We don't have to take this anymore. We are better armed intellectually, physically. The left is intellectually and morally bankrupt. We're winning this argument. But if you want it, I'm going to say to the left in this country, if you want a violent reaction, we will defend ourselves physically if we have to from you jerkweeds. Black Lives Matter, of course, as with everything, they make it about themselves. So Black Lives Matter did a bunch of, they tried these guys, they tried these protests this weekend around the country, and they were a joke. So they're reacting to Dana Loesch's PSA. Black Lives Matter. Thank you, Brian. Brian says, amen, brother. Brian, do me a favor. Share on social media. Tell them we're on right now. I'm going to be around for a while. It's only 6:10. I plan on being here at least an hour. So if you wouldn't mind sharing and getting other people involved in the conversation, I would greatly appreciate it. Black Lives Matter, like everything, they made it about themselves. DeRay McKesson, did you hear about this the other day? DeRay McKesson, he's a Black Lives Matter mouthpiece. He was convinced that the new movie Planet of the Apes was about him and mocking him because the main ape wore a blue vest like he wears all the time. Now, I had addressed this on the radio at WBAP in Dallas on Friday. This guy literally, he thought that the movie was about him because he wears a blue vest, not realizing that the leader of the apes in Planet of the Apes since the 1960s is, thank you, David, for sharing, is an ape that wears a blue vest, and it just so happens DeRay McKesson wears a blue vest. So he thought it was all about himself, as with BLM always thinks everything's about themselves because they're the most important group in the world, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for sharing, Noah. Do appreciate it, man. Noah Hoffmeyer, you rock. Thank you. You know what I'd like to do, guys, if you don't mind my saying so? I'm here for this Facebook page. I'm here for the man who put it together. I'm here to bring us all, you, me, all of the people in this group together every weekday night, okay? That's what I promise you. I'm going to bring us together. And I'm going to do my very best to entertain you every night as well and inform you. Back to DeRay McKesson. DeRay McKesson assumed that Planet of the Apes was about him. Not the case. It was actually the original character in Planet of the Apes wore a blue vest. So I don't know what is more embarrassing for DeRay McKesson. And have you noticed he's completely quiet? If it's that he thought a blockbuster motion picture would make fun of him as an ape-like character, or the fact that for the last, most of his adult life, he's dressed like an ape-like character from Planet of the Apes and didn't know about it. I don't know what's more embarrassing. I mean, this guy has been wearing a blue vest like the ape in Planet of the Apes for 30 years, and he didn't realize it. That'd be like me wearing, every day I wear a yellow shirt with wavy lines on it, and I shave my head. And I just find out that Charlie Brown wears that? It's just so stupid. It's really dumb. But BLM responded to the PSA from BLM PSA. I'm using a lot of, acronyms, whatever. But Black Lives Matter responded to Dana Loesch's PSA from the NRA in just a typical BLM fashion. I'm only going to recap this because of the protests. They were going to protest Dana Loesch. And by the way, I posted the audio from my exclusive interview with Dana Loesch Friday on WBAP in Dallas, right here on this Facebook page. Okay, here is a little bit of the Black Lives Matter reaction to a PSA that says, we're tired of the violence. We're going to raise the fist of truth as gun owners.
They use their guns to assassinate black people. They use their schools.
Now, Dana Loesch in her PSA referred to they. She was referring to the radical left in the country that is causing violence. BLM, I don't know who they're referring to, raising their guns to kill black people. Right now, there's one group that is raising their guns to kill black people at 10 times the national average. Would you like to name the group? Is it the police? Is it conservative NRA members? No. If you answered black people, ding, 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 you win.
To funnel black students through a school-to-prison pipeline. They use their state institutions.
Now, we've got these state institutions created by in inner cities. What sort of politics? Democrat liberal politics. You got it.
Bought politicians, business conglomerates, and white supremacist domestic terrorists to incite violence over and over again.
Okay, now that is,
guns to
by the way, hold on.
assassinate black.
That is a load of crap. That's the latest thing. Now, we talk about dog whistles and we talk about words. There are several words right now that mean your side's losing the argument. When you call someone a racist, generally it means that you're losing an argument, okay? The left has used the word racist for decades. Then they've moved into other ways to show they're losing an argument by ending the argument by yelling something that is very defamatory. And a lot of people will just shut up. Racist has begun to ring hollow because people realize that there aren't so many racists in the country, and they get it. There's a failure of policy on the left, and by just shouting the word racist, BS. Now it's moved into white supremacists. Okay, white supremacists are few and far between. They're generally hillbillies who live in the South. They're a tiny, unpowerful, unnoticed group in the country. But on university campuses and from groups like BLM, take the L out, it's BM, they've moved on to that. So the opposition in the White House, the opposition from conservatives is white supremacists. And that's insulting, and it really pisses me off, to be quite honest. Keep the comments coming. We got Noah. Thanks for sharing on social media. Brian as well, share. Thank you, Patrick. Keep sharing on social media as we continue to go. Dennis as well. Love to hear your thoughts on a variety of things. Somebody wrote us today and said that, hold on, let me find it. Somebody wrote us today and asked, I'm sorry, if this is the place to ask, but I don't know where else to go. Is there a more conservative or rather way less liberal freak show version of Yahoo and Google? Every time I look at the email, I feel like I'm walking through a liberal gauntlet or a Trump supporter on college campus. If you have any suggestions for that, this is coming from Duga Thompson. Tammy Duga, whatever, anyway, Thompson. Well, anyway, that was a question. If you have and I guess this is referring to search engines, is there a more conservative search engine out there? If you'd like to comment on that, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I don't know. I use Bing. I use Google just because Google is there, and I know how to weed through crap, right? So I understand that. Here's a little more from the BLM response to Dana Lash's NRA PSA.
And then they use their new president to enact a law and order administration.
Yeah, we need law and order, actually. How well is that lack of law and order working in big cities like Chicago?
All to make them shoot first, to make them ask questions later, make them scream, I thought he had a gun in his hand.
That's just a colossal load of crap. You have hundreds of shootings each weekend in Chicago, dozens and dozens of deaths, and 99.9% of them are not police officers shooting at people.
And I feared for my life, and he matched the description of a suspect, and she was threatening us.
Okay, this is again BLM. Completely specious argument. Makes no sense. One more cut from the response by the BLM to Dana Lash.
To shoot and kill Philando Castile, Charlena Lyles, Keisha Michael, Keith Bursey, and Waukesha Wilson, until the only option left is for Black people to disrupt the systems that keep us oppressed and build the kinds of communities.
You mean like the Democrat Party?
In which we want to live. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse to kill more of us.
Wow. They'll use it as this is they're portraying deaths by of African Americans in this country as some sort of a Holocaust. That's what they're trying to do, as an institutional Holocaust. This is absurd. This is absolutely absurd because the Holocaust is happening within the black community in inner cities. It's just the way it is. The murder rate is 10 times the national average. Okay? There's a point where you kind of got to go, hey, maybe we need to look at things like fatherless households, crime rate. Maybe you need to realize that the reason the incarceration rate is higher is because the rate of crime is much higher. Okay? Maybe you need to look at an abortion rate in inner cities of 70% plus. Maybe we need to look at all those things. But here's the thing. The Dana Lash PSA offered another target that could distract from the real problems of the inner city and of the Democrat Party, presiding over 50 years of absolute hell. Okay. So that's what happened this weekend. That's what happened this weekend. Let's share a couple of other things. I'm going to move on from the, and by the way, the protests against Dana Lash and the NRA PSA, which were supposed to be nationwide, they were supposed to be nationwide, folks. They were supposed to be national. Women across the country saying that they disapprove of the NRA and gun ownership. And you know what happened? It was a giant turd sandwich. I saw an interesting piece by Investors Business Daily. 49% of married women say they or someone in their home owns a gun. New Pew survey shows 40% of women generally live in a home with a gun, and then almost a quarter of women personally own a gun. But even for those women who don't own a gun, 45% said they could see themselves as owning one at some point. Among female gun owners, 71% said that they own a gun for protection. 40% say that all or most of their friends own guns. 29% said they keep a loaded gun that is always easily accessible. Do you see why this idiotic BLM protests against the NRA by women did a faceplant over the weekend? Women view gun ownership positively, 51 to 43%. They said that gun ownership more likely to protect people from being crime victims than it is to put people's safety at risk. Women were more supportive of gun control than men, 54% for women, 37% not. But women are also much more likely than men to cite violence in television and movies as contributing at least a fair amount to gun violence. They were also far more likely to cite violence in video games. Okay, we got all that. That's fine. In 2016, women made up 36% of permit holders in 14 states that provide gender by data. In the 8 states that had gender by or data by gender from 20 whatever, there was a 326% faster increase in permits among women than men. Research has shown that women benefit much more from having guns for protection than men. The reason is simple. When a male criminal attacks a female victim, there's a much larger strength difference than when a male attacks another male. The presence of a gun represents, it's the great equalizer, kids. It's the great equalizer. National Crime Victimization Survey shows that using mace or other methods of protection are simply not as successful as using a gun. The gun. There have been systematic efforts to scare women by exaggerating the risk of having guns in the home. For example, 2015, around 50% of married couples owning guns. There were 48 accidental deaths for the 61 million children under age 15. Around half of those are caused by adult males with criminal backgrounds. So it's not people who own guns, legitimately. They accidentally firing their firearms. While one accidental death is too many, there are often much greater risks in the home that these marchers might want to concentrate on. All right? So responsible gun owners are not the cause of this, and women choose guns because it makes them the equalizer when it comes to crime. That's what I'm trying to get into. So it was a bankrupt movement over the weekend, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, let's move on. And again, if you wouldn't mind sharing on Facebook, for those of you that's tuned in, my name is Rob Carson. I am a talk show host, nationally syndicated comedy writer, and we're doing something new here every night where we get all of you who do your very best to comment on things on this Facebook page, Deplorables Radio, and bring us together and give you a voice. So comment right now. I'll read your comment on the air. All right? I'll read it on the air. Caitlyn Jenner is going to whip out a campaign possibly for Senate. Caitlyn Jenner over the weekend was talking to WNYM AM and basically said she has considered running for Senate. That I like the political side of it. If there's one thing, I work very closely with a group called the American Unity Fund, that their sole purpose, their mission statement is to get the Republican Party to do a better job when it comes to the LGBTQ issues. That's kind of my issue. What the hell? Why not? I mean, we got a guy who's a reality TV host in the White House. Why the hell not have a transsexual in the Senate? I got no problem with it. Honestly, I don't mind Caitlyn Jenner. I think Caitlyn Jenner is a conservative, is largely a conservative. I really do. And I know as weird as it is, and I'm not a big supporter of this bullcrap where you choose not to choose a sex when you get your driver's license or your birth certificate and all this. And I'm not. It's bullcrap. All right, but Caitlyn Jenner, I don't think Caitlyn Jenner's insane. I think some of the people who are claiming to be trans, like there's a woman in Great Britain, decided to become a man, cut her boobies off, started taking hormones, decided that this person wanted to have a baby, and then claimed that this person was a man having a baby. That's insane. All right? That's just nuts. You are not a man having a baby. You are a woman who had her boobies cut off and has hormones, and you decided to have a baby. All right? So that's nuts. I don't think that Caitlyn Jenner is nuts. I wish Caitlyn could do something about the voice. Caitlyn needs a voiceectomy. You know what I mean? Because you got the woman who, this person, and I remember Vanity Fair. You remember Vanity Fair a couple of years ago when she was, Caitlyn Jenner was on Vanity Fair? And like my producer, he comes in and goes, hey, check this chick out on Vanity Fair. I'm like, whoo. And I'm a hot older woman there on Vanity Fair. And then he said, that's Bruce Jenner. And I went, oh, God, I need to take a shower. I'm not completely prepared to accept all the LGBT, QRSTUV agenda. But, I don't mind Caitlyn Jenner. Whatever, Caitlyn Jenner. Oh, I have something I want to provide a little tribute. Jesse Jackson, the latest Democrat, to claim that the election was stolen. Now, this isn't just by the Russians. This is the latest thought process for Democrats who can't accept the fact that Hillary Clinton sucked as a candidate. So Jesse Jackson, late last week, talked about how and try to understand this guy because honestly, his speech impediment is so profound. I don't have perfect speech. I get it, but it's very profound. Here is Jesse Jackson talking about how the Republicans stole the election, and then I have a special musical dedication I want to play for the Democrats. Actually, come on.
To have a head of our party who is sensitive to the plight of working people is the order of this day.
Is the order of this day? Okay.
Don't forget, when you lose, you tend to amplify woulda, coulda, shoulda. When you win, cover up your sins. Don't let them fool you. We worked last year. We won the election. It was stolen.
They really need to close caption Jesse Jackson, just for people who actually can speak clearly. Here is my musical dedication to Jesse Jackson and Democrats everywhere who can't accept the fact that Donald Trump won. All right, enjoy this. I wrote this for the Dems.
It sucks to be you. It sucks to be you.
Thank you.
You campaigned around with boots on the ground. But what did it do? For all but just two, you caused them to lose. And I might add, machines that were bad didn't help you. In states you were seen, most went GOP. A bad day for Dems, you lost it for thems, hoping changes are rules. Obama, your help gave voters no thrill, insured all the poor, but they got the bill. It sucks to be you, most states are now blue. It sucks to be you.
Okay, so unfortunately, the caterwauling for losing the election is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to continue. It's going to get ugly. I've heard that we are in a new civil Cold War in the country. This really sucks because I wasn't happy when Barack Obama won, but I didn't throw a temper tantrum. I said, I'm going to call my congressman and we're going to stop things. And we did stop some things. Couldn't stop Obamacare. That was chicanery. That was pure Democrat chicanery. We did stop cap and trade. Okay. We slowed down some other things. That's how you do it. You don't throw erroneous charges at the president and threaten to have him impeached or removed from office. So, and remember that thing they were going to use the 25th Amendment and say was insane? Where did that go? Remember last week? They said the Democrats are going to use the 25th Amendment to show that Donald Trump was insane and remove him from office. That went blew up. Blew up. Your thoughts, please comment as we broadcast live. My name is Rob Carson. I want to mention something real quick here. Do you get tired of having Democrats and liberals rub your face in things? I remember when I lived in the Washington, D.C. area, you could not put a pro-Republican bumper sticker on your car without it being vandalized. Well, I have a line of bumper stickers, T-shirts, swag, whatever that's politically incorrect. Some political, some not so much. Here's where you can find it. tpublic.com, conservatees, tpublic.com. Just look for conservatees. Here are some of them that I think you will enjoy. This is for your kid going off to college this year. I got your safe space right here. That's available. We have 50 designs, by the way. Here's one. Suck it up, snowflake. As in, like, get over yourself. You can have this put on T-shirts, onesies, whatever. Here's one. Proud climate change denier, and I am. For anybody who's ever seen a protest or a Prius that says, war's not the answer. Well, you know what, Pookie? Sometimes war is the answer. Put that on a T-shirt. Get this for the veteran in your life because sometimes war is the answer. Sometimes it's the way. Bad guys need their asses kicked. My kid is not a snowflake. That's available. Again, just go to tpublic.com, look for conservatees. Nice scribble there, Rob. What the hell was I writing? You can't coexist when someone wants to kill you. You see that stupid coexist bumper sticker on people's cars? You can't coexist when some people want to see you or want to kill you. You know the Che Guevara? He's a commie, the 1960s, murderous commie bastard. Murderous commie douchebag, not a hero. He's frequently seen on iconic wear that college students wear. They don't even realize what an a-hole he was. Calm down. She lost, he won. Get over it. Okay? Oh, yes. For all of the Russia investigation. Jan Brady. Russia. We have a new design, which is the hunt for Red November. Democrats looking for a connection between Donald Trump and the Russians during the last election. Again, all of those are available here. tpublic.com/conservatees, tpublic.com/conservatees. Probably should print that off again and get rid of those numbers. I don't know what that was. George W. Bush and Bill Clinton spoke last week to a forum in Dallas. Were asked To identify the most important quality that she needed to be president, George Bush, of course, answered it with, brevity, class. Bill Clinton couldn't do that. Here they both are.
What do you think it takes for somebody who says, I want to be president, I want to be like you, I want to be like you?
Humility. I think it's really important to know what you don't know and listen to people who do know what you don't know.
There is George Bush's response. It's very nice. Humility. Listen to, those who know. And if you don't know, there you go. Now here's Bill Clinton.
I also think you have to begin with the end in mind. That is, you have to say, yeah, you got to win the election. But why in the heck are you running? That's the other thing I noticed about him. When he ran for governor against...
Why were you running, Bill, other than to get a little,
It's Ann Richards. He didn't say Ann Richards is a klutz. He said, I want to be governor because I want to do 1, 2, 3 things. A couple of them I didn't agree with, but he had an agenda. If you want to be president, realize it's about the people, not about you. And when
oh, dear God, did you hear what he just said? Bill Clinton said it's about the people and not about you. Wow.
It's over. And that's what a lot of these people who are real arrogant.
Everything the Clintons have done has been about them and not the people. Give me a friggin' break.
In office, they forget. Time passes. And it passes more quickly than you know.
Yeah, and then eventually, you get to the point where you're too old to even bang 26-year-old interns or 23-year-old interns. You get up there in your 70s, you're not going to get laid like you used to. That's Bill Clinton. Wow. George Bush, what do you need? Humility. Listen to people who do know if you don't know. Clinton, dear Lord in heaven, that he can show his face, honestly, in public is just remarkable. Saturday, AM Joy, that's the show on MSNBC featuring Joy Reid that's just, wow. She talked to Phil Donahue about Donald Trump and basically said that Donald Trump is essentially the worst thing to ever happen, by the way. The worst thing to ever happen. We've reached a new low in this country. Let me see if I can find. Oh, here it is. Here's Phil Donahue talking about the Trump administration.
All of a sudden, we got a crotch grabber for a president.
Now, I believe the real crotch grabber was Bill Clinton. He actually grabbed crotches. He had Arkansas State troopers stand outside the hotel room, literally grabbed crotches, bit lips, and committed acts of sexual violence against women. Donald Trump had a microphone on him, hanging out with Billy Bush in a van or in a bus, Access Hollywood, where a producer left Donald Trump's mic on surreptitiously and illegally and did what a lot of guys do. We talk about getting some. Yeah, we talk about getting some. Bill Clinton actually got some.
Yeah. This is the darkest political moment in American history.
Just honestly. This is coming from a guy who used to have Nazi midgets, transvestites on his show. Thank you, Phil. You're a real sage. We look forward to your guidance with regard to being a cultural barometer out there. I want to reset here. My name is Rob Carson. We are doing this live Facebook podcast every night here on Deplorables Radio at Facebook. If you would please share, like Dennis and Noah and Brian and Patrick have done. Please share right now on social media. We want to get to the point where we have 1,000 people watching every night and commenting and sharing on this Facebook page. I'm a Gen Xer, so I missed a lot of Carl Bernstein. He's known for Watergate, being a Watergate reporter. He blew up Watergate, whatever. And that was pretty much all he really did after that. I don't know, whatever. He's a leftist Democrat. Originalist, I guess, with regard to being a Democrat leftist journalist when people thought that journalism was actually objective. But he wasn't, and he isn't, and it hasn't gotten any better. For the longest time in this country, until Rush Limbaugh, who I started writing for in 1989, till Rush Limbaugh came along, there was a silence. The media was completely dominated by left leaning politics, completely dominated by it. Conservatives had no voice whatsoever, and there was not only propaganda coming from the highest echelons of news media, but also an avoiding or an ignoring of the truth by the mainstream media to support a leftist agenda. That's just the way it was. And you just, Walter Cronkite, Uncle Walter, man, you thought, well, Uncle Walter, he wouldn't lie to you. He was a tool. He was a tool. Noah says, had a cigar fetish with impressionable young interns while POTUS still in the White House. I don't know if I'd really want to smoke that cigar. I mean, you know, I like my cigars to be a little skunky. I like them to smell like, horse poop. But I don't know if I want to smoke that cigar. Might be a little hard to light there, buddy. You know what I'm saying there? Noah, could be a little bit hard to light. Even with one of those torches. I'm a big cigar guy, by the way. I love my cigars. Back to Carl Bernstein, who originally was the guy who disclosed Watergate. He was talking on CNN's reliable sources about how Fox News has created a different media universe, essentially sparking a cold civil war. I listened to this buffoon. It sucks to be Carl Bernstein. It sucks to be old school media like this guy. Old school media that dominated all of the networks and everything forever. And then Fox News and Rush Limbaugh came along, Limbaugh first, and exposed the truth in an alternative viewpoint. And now they're all butthurt about it. It's the same way with those who supported Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump won. They're all butthurt about it. Here is Carl Bernstein, iconic journalist and partisan, talking about Fox News.
Two things. The difference between Watergate and now, one of the big differences is that we are in the midst of a cold civil war in this country.
Yeah, and another difference about Watergate is that if Carl Bernstein were in charge and a Democrat had done Watergate, he would have ignored it. He wouldn't have nothing to do with it. He became a shark in the water on chum because it was Republican.
A political and cultural civil war, and all of our reporting is taking place in the context of that cold civil war, and nothing quite like that existed at the time of Watergate. And that
See, there was no cold civil war because there were half of the American people were being ignored and fed propaganda. And there was a great awakening that happened soon thereafter. We learned that the press could be dishonest. We learned that the press could present one viewpoint and ignore another. And there was a great awakening.
Part of the cold civil war itself is the configuration of media, with Fox News, with CNN being perceived by different sets of viewers as representing different truths.
No, they represent a leftist viewpoint. That's it. It's been proven time and time again.
When in fact, Fox has changed American politics as perhaps no institution has since its invention in 1996.
Yes. We've actually provided a voice I'm from Fox News, right? It provided a voice to what was at a time a minority of people who didn't know because there are no other ways to learn the truth. I mean, we had a narrative on all of the major networks, all of the major papers, and it was all left-leaning. Fox News came in and upset their apple cart.
Our politics has been changed inalterably by this right-wing counterforce, whatever you want to call Fox News, but also...
I wouldn't say Shep Smith is actually a right-wing. Okay, so don't act like every show... MSNBC, everything is left-leaning, largely. Don't act like Fox News is all right-wing all the time.
Cable news itself is a different form than we had during the time of Watergate. We didn't see reporters on television discussing their stories. We do go farther on the air.
Yeah, reporters now have to actually explain why they did a story. and what their slant was.
Now, by having reporters from the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN expand on their stories on the air so that there is a visual component that listeners and viewers at home are seeing. They're getting more interpretive.
Hey, Carl, they don't use typewriters anymore either.
Information. It is a different media universe, and it's a cauldron taking place in this hothouse of political debate in which a
they started to drone on like an almost 80-year-old man here.
Fact-based debate is becoming impossible in this culture, and that's part of the difficulty here. We're just lobbing accusations back and forth in which a fact-based environment...
Whoa. Lobbing accusations back and forth like Donald Trump is colluding with the Russians and there's no evidence? Is that yeah, okay.
Environment is almost impossible to maintain.
Okay, again, he started to trail off, and then I think they had to wheel him off to get his meds. They just give him a little cup and they give him some juice and he takes his meds, and that's what he does. It sucks to be you, traditional media, Carl Bernstein. You can't just be a propagandist anymore. You can't just take down one side of the political equation anymore. You just can't do it. Can't do it. Coming up, excuse me. Looks like Teen Vogue. Do you have a daughter who gets Teen Vogue? You might want to cancel that subscription. They had a big article on how you can have anal sex, teaching your 11 to 17-year-old how to have anal sex. Go share some audio from a mom who's a little pissed about it. Reverend Dr. William Barber is a member of the National Board of the National Association, National Board of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and pastor of Greenleaf Christian Church in Goldsboro, North Carolina. I believe that's a national organization. He is speaking out, apparently, that last week, you see the video of the priests, preachers, clergy praying over Donald Trump? I don't care what the president is. If they're praying over the president, it's not necessarily a prayer for the president's agenda. It's a prayer for guidance. It's a prayer for strength as the leader of the free world. And I thought it was a really cool event. Well, the Reverend Dr. William Barber, who's, by the way, a member of the National Board of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and pastor of Greenland Christian Church. And by the way, the National Organization for the Advancement of Colored People is a leftist organization. And if you are black, you can't be conservative according to them. But basically, they were saying, this guy was saying, this Reverend Dr. William Barber, member of the National Board of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and pastor at Greenleaf Christian Church in Goldsboro, said basically that praying over this president is theological malpractice. This is about the most unchristian thing I think I've ever heard from a pastor, to be honest.
The interview with Pat Robertson and this picture of evangelical leaders laying hands on...
I think this was on Morning Joy again.
Trump in prayer. There's a lot to talk about. Anand is back with me, and joining me now, the Reverend Dr. William Barber, president of Repairers of the Breach. And
he's national, by the way.
Barber, what do you make of this laying on of hands and this embrace of Donald Trump by the evangelical right? Or the Christian right.
Yeah, and this very, very, very extreme agenda by Ryan and McConnell, it is a form of theological malpractice.
Now, wait, he's going to get all kind of like rhymey and slogany. This is when it gets real good.
Borders on heresy. When you can PRAY for a president and others while they are PREY, preying on the most vulnerable.
I see what PRAY. PREY. That is crazy. Let's hear that again.
For a president and others while they are PREY, preying on the most vulnerable, you are violating the most sacred.
You can't PRAY when somebody's PREYing.
Principles of religion.
Wow. Not exactly a Christian thing to do. Not exactly a Christian thing to do. To not pray for someone because of politics. Imagine that. Imagine that. Not praying for someone because of politics as a Christian. That is messed up, folks. That is messed up. So, Teen Vogue has an article about your kid and anal sex. 11 to 17-year-olds having anal sex. I don't have the audio of the mom in front of me. There's a very angry mom. I'll post it on our Facebook page. And I just want to do a warning for you. Teen Vogue has a variety of different articles that are trying to normalize a lot of perverse behavior. The anal sex thing is the latest thing. I don't want to be too graphic about it. But if your kid has a subscription, if you have a subscription to Teen Vogue, I'd get rid of it. Cosmo magazine. This is another one of those magazines. They say that you shouldn't have a baby gender reveal party because it's offensive. Oh, this is fantastic. They're the biggest buzzkills in the world. Article according to Cosmo about gender identity parties where you get together. I guess it's the new thing now. I've got a 12-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy, so I'm beyond that. This is from the article. My discomfort with the gender reveal party goes beyond my standard objection to fanfare surrounding gestational markers. We are reinforcing the archaic notion that a woman's value rests squarely on her ability to grow tiny humans. I mean, if you look at the animal kingdom, that's the truth. And guys are just there to deposit a seed and then go out and get killed. But we are advanced from that as humans. Gender reveal parties don't actually reveal gender; they reveal anatomy. Gender is a wholly different thing, inextricably tied to the social constructs around it. So this is the new thing with those who gender. Basically, gender anatomy is different from gender identity. So you can have a penis and be a woman. That's what they're saying. You can have a penis and be a woman. You can have a vagina and be a dude. Now, this is also true in the U.S. military. U.S. military rules are now going to allow openly transgender applicants to enlist in the service. Okay, whatever. In preparation for the shift in policy, the Army is rolling out special training material specifically tailored for female soldiers to train them in advance so they can be prepared for the day when a woman with male genitalia gets in the shower with them. I'm not kidding. And this is one of the things that got me the biggest response today on this page. Just gigantic. In vignette number 4 of an Army's PowerPoint guidance titled Policy on the Military Service of Transgender Soldiers Training Module Tier 3, whatever the hell. Units and soldiers with a unit. Issued last September, it states the following regarding a hypothetical transgender soldier who is transitioning to a new gender. Here it goes. I don't want to make this get into the weeds here. Following her transition from male to female and gender marker change, a transgender soldier begins to using female barracks, bathroom, and shower facilities because she did not undergo a surgical change. The soldier has male genitalia. Okay. So they're saying, get used to it. If there's a dude who wants to become a babe and be in the military and be in your barracks as a woman or your daughter's barracks as a woman, then you should allow that. Can we just get back to blowing up shit? Can we just go back to winning wars? How about that? And I'm sorry to use the salty language. I can because this is a podcast. But can we just get back to blowing up shit? Can we just get back to going after ISIS and none of this B-freaking-S? Are you out of your mind? We live in a terrifying world, guys. Transgendered soldier from male to female on the battlefield. How well's that going to go over? We live in a very, very, very cruel world when a lot of people would like our real estate and want you, me, and our children dead. And in the meantime, we've got some confused, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, kind of a mentally unstable person who in the Army decided, I'm gonna cut my penis off and become a woman. All right? Sorry, there's as Dennis says, the military is no place for social experiments because while we're experimenting with whatever, North Korea wants to nuke our asses into the ground. Oh, just leave it up to the soldiers. The soldiers. All right? I'm not saying that women are not great soldiers. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. As I mentioned earlier, biologically, according to the Teen Vogue article, not the Teen, the Cosmo article, women relegated to just breeding. No. But I will tell you, in the animal world, female is very strong. They have the young, they raise the young, and the male largely just makes a deposit and goes out and gets killed. That's what happens in the animal kingdom. We've advanced beyond that. But there are a lot of animalistic regimes in the world who, again, want you to be dead, me to be dead, and they want to have our real estate. Just the way it is, man. I don't want to be a buzzkill. I don't want to be a buzzkill, but it kind of is that way. It's just the way it is. It's a cruel world, folks. Did your mom and dad tell you that? Let me see here. Oh, this is funny. You see this over the weekend? 73% of Democrats would want to give up drinking for the rest of their lives if it led to the impeachment of President Donald Trump. New survey from the drug and alcohol rehabilitation group Detox. 17% of Republicans would give up drinking for life if Donald Trump were impeached. 21% identified in this survey as Republicans. 43% identify as Democrats. 36% as others. But wow, 73.3% of Democrats would give up drinking the rest of their lives if it meant Donald Trump would be impeached tomorrow. Donald Trump is the reason why a lot of Democrats right now are drinking. It's just fantastic. You know, it's interesting because I think the reason they'd give up drinking for the rest of their lives is because they realize in the back of their minds this is not going to happen. Okay? I could say that I would give up drinking if Nancy Pelosi would retire, but Nancy Pelosi is ineffectual. It wouldn't be worth it. She's already done. Give up drinking if Joe Biden didn't run for president in 2020. He will, and I think if that's the best the Democrat Party has to offer, then, same way with Bernie Sanders, same way with Elizabeth Warren. I wouldn't give up drinking with regard to the downfall of the Democrat Party because it's already falling. It's already falling. All right? I don't know. Maybe I'd give up drinking if I could, have sex with a supermodel. I don't know. I wouldn't because I'm married, so I wouldn't do that. But, ISIS brides have revealed the reality of becoming a wife in the caliphate. Apparently, they have described jihadi speed dating, which, have you ever done that before? Because you want to start dating before he blows himself up. Not only that, but women fighting in dormitories, religious fanatics who are only interested in sex. Ex-wives and widows of extremists, I'm assuming they're widows because they blew themselves up, told how they paid smugglers to help them flee from once the terror group started to lose territory in Iraq and Syria. So the wives of ISIS fighters are running away from Raqqa in Syria, running away from all of these areas where the U.S. is kicking ass and U.S. forces are kicking ass. They also mentioned that a lot of these ISIS brides are a little upset because their husbands' sex slaves have better makeup and clothing than they do. And isn't that just the way it goes when your husband gets a sex slave? It's just, honestly, they need a TV show called The Real ISIS Wives of Raqqa. By the way, Mosul has fallen to the U.S.-backed fighters there. Mosul has fallen. ISIS is done. You'll notice it's not being covered by the press because under General Mattis, the U.S. is kicking ass and taking names, folks. Kicking ass and taking names. I think that is going to do it for... Oh, one more thing here. This is funny. And we're going to do this again tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern, or 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern, which is, by the way, the same time, in case you didn't know. American Eagle Outfitters has sidestepped its traditional all-American clothing line to now feature a denim hijab. for Muslim women. This is kind of nice. American Eagle. American Eagle, I don't know if you've been to American Eagle. American Eagle is this really expensive store at the mall you go to, and all of the clothes look like they've just been pulled out of a pile of clothes in the corner of the room. They are an absolute mess, a hodgepodge. They're wrinkled, they're patinaed, they're torn, and you go in and you pay a lot of money to wear American Eagle stuff. Well, they're selling a denim hijab. Nike has a hijab. They've been making that for about a year. And so now they're doing a denim hijab so you can look fashionable as you're subjugated and marginalized. How awesome is that? Guys, I want to thank you. Thank you for checking out this Facebook Live podcast. It is a new experiment here on Deplorables Radio at Facebook. If you get a chance to check out my line of really cool, politically incorrect swag, tpublic.com conservatees, tpublic.com conservatees, some of the awesome designs, including veganism is an eating disorder. You can have that put on T-shirts. You can have it put on stickers. You can have it put on mugs. You can have it put on laptop cases, whatever. Okay. Also, I am available at Facebook at Rob Carson Show, Facebook at Rob Carson Show, on Twitter at just Rob Carson. In the meantime, I want to thank you, all of you guys who joined me tonight. This will be available in the video section of this Facebook page, and then I'm going to put the audio on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Audio Boom, YouTube. Now, before I officially go from my audio podcast, I want to thank my sponsors, Dr. Alex Nelson. Thank you. FountainOfLifeChiro.com. You got neuropathy, hip pain, knee pain. Oh, does your back bother you? Do you need decompression for herniated low back disc? I had mentioned my son asked me to lift him yesterday, crack his back. I said, "Oh crap, go see Dr. Alex Nelson. We're going. Massage therapy, electrical stimulation. I tell you, change your life. FountainOfLifeChiro.com, FountainOfLifeChiro.com, 816-741-4711, 816-741-4711. Also, GrassMonstersKC.com. Glorious American-made mowers built like a brick excrement house. Dixie Chopper, Hustler. They are amazing. You will never go back to another mower. All right? GrassMonstersKC.com, 5520 Raytown Road, Raytown, Missouri. Guys, have a glorious day, and we will be back for episode number 135 real soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.